Holland's Park. This was at one time a basket factory. They made baskets because in this area it's really a temperate climate. In other words, if it's freezing 10 miles in, it might not be freezing along the lake. The lake kind of moderates our temperature. It's always that way. When you look at the weather report, they will say, well, it's 65 in Holland, but it's 72 in Grand Rapids. It's always a little warmer inland in the summer. In the fall or the spring, then it can be the opposite. They can say, well, it's 32 in Grand Rapids, but it's 36 in Holland, and just enough to keep fruit blossoms from freezing and being ruined. So there's a lot of fruit processing, and so this was a factory that made the baskets for those things. And then, of course, this is where the ships would be to load up and go to Chicago and sell their produce or whatever else they were selling. It used to be, my husband grew up here in this city, and he said when he was a kid, you could not swim in this lake. It was polluted and dangerous. Now it has totally changed. We have what we call Project Clarity. They've spent at least $3 million educating the farmers around here about how to till their fields so that the phosphorus and the things that are in their production, whether it's chickens or pigs or whatever, and there's a lot of that around, that it does not pollute the streams that run into Lake Makatawa. So it has made a world of difference, and it's a very beautiful lake, very popular for anyone who has a boat to go from here into Lake Michigan and dock their boat or just anchor their boat and go swimming or have picnics along Lake Michigan. It's a beautiful spot. It's a lovely restaurant right here. Boatworks is the name. You can sit and watch, or sit over the water and enjoy your meal right there. It's a great place. Very popular for weddings too. Holland Park is going to be really hopping next Saturday night because that's the finale of Tulip time, and so they bring in lots of bands, and there will be all kinds of food wagons here and fireworks in the evening when it turns dark. So it's going to be a hard time to get a parking place near here next Saturday evening. There's a fountain right there, kind of a clay-colored fountain that was given to our city by our sister city in Mexico called Quintero, and so that is a little token of their gift, and we exchange visitors every year with that city. We're going to go into the parking area of Holland Park, and this is where there is a statue similar to the ones that I showed you earlier in downtown, but this one was sculpted by someone from the Netherlands. This was given to our town in honor of our 150th birthday. It was given by a community in the Netherlands called Drent. It would be like a county here. And there's also a town named Drent. And it symbolizes the first people that came here and settled in this very area. This would be where their first homes would have been located and where their ship docks would have been. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Some lady in a red shirt is sitting right there. You can see there are a few brave people out there already on the cool days, but fishing is good here in Lake Mac, so you will see lots of fishermen. And straight ahead here, there's a big factory, and that is the Heinz company. It is the biggest producer of pickles in the world right here. And not only do they have pickles, but they also process different things like poupon mustard and different sauces and relishes and so forth. So if you like Heinz pickles, this is the place it came from. It's now a company owned by the Kraft Corporation.
They make ketchup too, don't they?
What's that?
They make ketchup too, don't they?
They make ketchup, but not here.
Ah, gotcha.
They don't do ketchup here, somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what we're all used to, is the Heinz ketchup.
Right.
Not in here. And the other day, you could just smell garlic. Oh, garlic. And they were doing something with garlic pickles because it was really strong. I used to live right near here. My husband has a company right here, and when we were first married, he had bought a house right next to where his plant is, and we lived there as newlyweds. And oh boy, could we smell the pickles every night. We didn't have air conditioning, and when you had the summer windows open, it was pickle smell. The homes that you see here are part of the older section of Holland, Michigan. And it was, by the time of 1871, it was like the outskirts of town. 1871 is a milestone year. And at that year, it was very hot and very dry. And in October 9, 1871, oh, I should tell you about that fence. It's made of cypress. And those used to be pickle vats. And they changed from that, those big vats, to those big white ones. Did you see those big white ones back there? Yeah. And so they had all that cypress wood, and they made it into a lovely fence. I think it's kind of cool. It's going to last forever.
It's about 3 rows deep, too.
It could be.
2 or 3 rows deep.
But it's kind of pretty. And there's a walkway right around the other side of the Heinz plant, and it's a real nice place to walk. But in 1871, when it was so hot and dry, the extreme wind came, and it's the same. We had our city of Holland caught on fire, and it's rumored that it was from the Chicago fire. In 1871, there was an enormous fire in Chicago, and it's called the Great Chicago Fire. And they figured that the sparks from that, because of the strong wind, if you look on a map, Chicago is like kitty corner from here. And so the wind is always southwest from here. And so it's very likely that the sparks were what started the fire here. But there were fires everywhere. Milwaukee and different places in Wisconsin were all had fires due to that big Chicago fire. In 2 hours, our entire 80% of our town was destroyed. People were running for their lives, but if they saw it coming and they had no choice but to try to get as many things as they could out of their home, they would try to dig a hole in their backyard and put some of their valuables in the hole so they could at least save some of their possessions that way. In fact, when you go to the museum, you'll see an organ, a small organ that somebody put in a hole, covered it with dirt, and saved it from the Chicago fire, from the Holland fire. And you know, the Holland fire was a bad thing, but actually after that, our town became a really boom town. We had other communities around here that helped us, but they rebuilt. And at that time, there were 1,700 people that lived here. But within a couple of years, there were 7,000. And right now, I told you there were 33. But actually, if you want to do numbers, the other side of town, which is called West Ottawa, has about the same number. And Zeeland, which is not too far away, is also about that amount. So our whole county has almost 300,000 people. Right now, we're very economically booming. If you want to buy a house, you better be quick because it's sold in a day. This is one of the boulevards that have the tulips. And if you are in your car, you will see signs on the power poles that tell you where a tulip lane is, and you can ride down the tulip lanes. There will be arrows directing you. We have 5 miles of tulip lanes. Now, some of the tulips aren't quite open yet, and some are really pretty. The purpose of that is to have different varieties planted so that there's always tulips. Because sometimes we have a cold spring like this year, and we don't have as many open, and sometimes it's a really warm spring, and then some are done before tulip time. Every now and then, I don't think I've experienced it more than twice, we have what we call a STEM festival.
Mm-hmm. I remember the last
I heard
one.
about that.
Yeah. Now, by the way, if you like tulips and want to take that as a souvenir home, if you live in a cold area where it gets cold in the winter, you can accommodate tulips in your yard. If you live in Florida, you have to put them in your refrigerator till spring and plant them then. But there was an orange tent where you were getting on this bus.
Yeah.
And that orange tent says, order bulbs. And that's what you have to do when you want tulips, because they can't sell you them now. They have to sell them to you in the fall. So you can order them and they'll ship them to you in the fall. Now, we are up with this. looks, oh, this the one that goes both ways? Yeah, look at both ways. There's tulips that way and the other way. And the flowering trees are either flowering crab or plum